If you only have 3 days in Panama City with kids, this is exactly what I would do.
Hey guys, we arrived in Panama City. Well, close to it. Look outside.
Day 1 was the arrival day, and we arrived in the afternoon on Copa Airlines from JFK, New York to Panama City. We stayed at La Campana Hotel right in Casco Viejo, which is the old town Panama City. Hotel La Campana is historic in itself because it was built on a 17th century old convent. It is right in the heart of Casco Viejo and walking distance to major attractions, lovely restaurants, and little shops. Staying here was like staying in a museum, and for a full review of Hotel La Campana, you can check out my next video. We had a late lunch at a restaurant called La Rana Dorada, which was just nearby from the hotel, and this place was amazing for lunch. They had the best empanada done in a way I've never had before, and they had amazing drinks. Definitely a place we would recommend for lunch. After we ate, we walked around Old Casco Viejo and Casco Antiguo, which is the district within Casco Viejo. And here in the video, you can see the Hotel La Campana from the street. The beginning of the hotel is the old convent from the 17th century that the hotel was built on, and they retained the old walls from hundreds of years ago. And that was really historic and made the whole hotel experience very special. There was a church nearby that we checked out. It was not a cathedral, it was another church, but it was also very pretty and cool to check out and explore. On the other side of the hotel was the main square, and this is where the main cathedral of Panama is located, and the whole square was lovely. They had lovely music going on, and it had a great atmosphere.
There's a nice breeze there.
We then took it easy and went back to our hotel and spent the rest of the afternoon on the rooftop pool. That was very relaxing, especially after a long day of travel and walking around the neighborhood. It's important that you give yourself and the kids some breaks and don't overdo it with all the exploring. We stayed at our hotel for dinner because we were tired and did not feel like venturing out, and ate at a place called Harris, which is a fusion of Mexican and Asian cuisine. The food was phenomenal, and they had outside seating right in the courtyard, though they did also have inside restaurant, which was really interesting looking. On our second day, we did a tour to visit the Embera Community. This tour was from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m., so really took all day. But if you have kids, I highly recommend you do this tour because it's about an hour from Panama City, and the tour company Sunblast Dreams really took care of everything. It was a very unique experience to be able to see how the Embera community live on the Chagres River. And before we got to their village, we did a 20-minute hike to this amazing waterfall with the Embera community tour guides as well as our English-speaking tour guides. And then we headed over to the village for more of a cultural experience. I have a full video on the Embera community and this particular excursion, so make sure you check it out in the Panama playlist. Overall, it was a very well put together itinerary where we got to learn about their way of life. We had a little presentation about their customs, about their language, their culture, what they do with their hands, and then later on they were selling handmade products. They showed us their dances, and we even got to dance with the local community. Lunch was included, and while we were dancing with the locals, the cooks were cooking lunch for us from the catch of the day from the Chagres River, and it was a delicious piece of fish along with the local fruits. After we came back from the Embera Community, we went to Sabroso, Panama for dinner, which we heard was a great place to get some local cuisine. And I have to say it did not disappoint, and we would recommend coming here at least once, either for lunch or for dinner. The restaurant is located on a small island called Perico Island, which is connected to Casco Viejo of Panama City via Amador Causeway, which is like a highway that connects the island and the mainland. The Uber is readily available, and it was pretty inexpensive to get from our hotel. Their passion fruit ceviche and passion fruit margarita were the best I have ever had. Walking down Amador Causeway and also the island area was so fun. They have a nice amusement park where you can purchase tickets to use the rides, and they have lots of street vendors. They have beautiful views of Panama City, and it was a lovely end to our day, especially because the evening wasn't as hot anymore, and so we can really enjoy the breeze and the beautiful scenery. It was a very family-friendly atmosphere and a family-friendly area, so if you have kids, you should visit at least once, mostly in the evening, to hang out there. They also have bikes for rental, and so we were saying next time when we come to Panama City, we could also bike that area because they have pedestrian only as well as bike only lanes next to the main road. So it is very safe to just walk around, walk or bike, or just to hang out. On our third day in the morning, we went to visit the famous Panama Canal, and I do have a video on the logistics of the Panama Canal as well if you'd like to hear more details. In the gist, you should go in the morning and be there around 8 o'clock to 8:30. The first boat passes from the Pacific to the Atlantic Ocean around 8:30 or so, and then there is a second boat passing from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean around 1:30 p.m. However, it's very, very hot, and I would highly recommend going in the morning and being there around 8 o'clock when it opens. It took about half an hour with Uber to get from our hotel to Panama Canal, and there is traffic in the morning, so make sure you give yourself enough time. If your kids are into science and engineering, like mine are, then Panama Canal is a marvel of science and engineering. My kids, especially my older one who was almost 9 years old at the time, was mesmerized by how the Panama Canal works. The tickets are inexpensive, and it includes an IMAX movie which explains the history of Panama and the Panama Canal, and our kids absolutely loved it. They also have a little playground where kids can play while they're waiting for the ships to go by. This took us almost the entire morning because we took our time, but it is well worth the visit, and I think if your kids are a little bit older and I think you would be interested in this, I think it's worth a visit. We thoroughly enjoyed it. We then went back to Casco Viejo and had lunch at a place called Snack Shack, which had a lot of tapas-like food, and it was excellent for lunch. We again broke up the day with leisure activity after exploring in the morning and spent the afternoon at the pool at the hotel. And that evening we ventured out to Poin Panama, which was just a short drive from Casco Viejo in between the modern Panama City and the Casco Viejo. Poin Panama is also one of those things not to be missed if you have kids, especially if your kids are a bit more adventurous. It has a zip line that connects that big tower with another tower that lights up at night. It also has this tower where you can have a scenic overlook of the entire city with a glass bottom. This was a very unique experience with amazing views of Casco Viejo as well as the new skyscrapers of the modern Panama City. In addition, the very cool zip line that connected the two towers with the concrete jungle under you, they also had a really awesome swing and this cool climbing wall that kids love to climb. And once they got up there, they were able to see the Panama City even from a higher standpoint. Included in the price was this virtual experience that our boys could try, as well as this mirror-like labyrinth that was fun to explore. And while you were exploring, you were learning about the history, nature, and culture of Panama City. So very nice, and kids really enjoyed it. They also had a little Panama Canal museum that was part of the exhibit. There's a bunch of restaurants where you can have dinner, and we ate at a place called Cielo, which had really great food. However, being up there was really windy and almost not as comfortable eating dinner because of the wind. But the food was excellent. They had little sliders, they had ceviche again with plantain chips, and it was fun to watch people zip line above you connecting the two towers. The next day we went to San Blas Islands for 3 days, and I will post our 7-day itinerary to a later video. However, when we came back, we spent the afternoon again around Casco Viejo because it was walking distance from our hotel, La Campana, and explored things we have not seen before. For example, at this Independence Square, which was that main square next to the hotel, is the biggest basilica in Panama called the Metropolitan Archcathedral Basilica of Santa Maria la Antigua. This basilica started being constructed in 1688, but it took over 100 years to build this place. The basilica is beautiful, it's large, and it also has a few first-degree relics from different saints. We walked around the old historic streets of Casco Viejo, which had a very European feel, and we walked towards the waterfront. There were a few more nice-looking hotels that were right on the water with a view of modern Panama City and the skyscrapers with a little beach area, but I don't know if that beach is usable or swimmable. But needless to say, this was a really lovely area. It had a nice street full of merchants with a nice shade from these cool trees and flowers, and it was just really cool to walk around and look for the handmade crafts that these Panamanian locals were selling. This is the French Square that was right by the water as well, and it was just a peaceful area with a little park to walk around. It was pretty cute. And this really cool street with Panamanian hats, because after all, you are in Panama. Hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions, leave me a comment below. And if you have other locations within Panama City that you would recommend visiting, also please leave me a comment.